Welcome back to Transport Fever 2, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. As you can see, the train came in one way, and now it will exit one way. This is much better for trains. It reduces congestion, and it's just a much better setup. Now, if we come over here just a little past Des Moines, you'll find two stations. One is a cargo yard for all factories, and the other one is a transfer station. This particular cargo yard takes care of the sand, the construction material, the planks, the oil sand, and the logs. Basically, everything gets shipped here first before it goes out to any factory. And then over on this side, we have the transfer station, which are for passengers. Now, all cities come over here to this transfer station except for one of them. If you live in Lakewood, you have to take a bus to Fort Lauderdale and transfer again to get to the transfer station. I would like to actually go up north and show you how this actually works. What I would like to do is come up here near Huntsville, and as you can see, I've already put a main track in place all the way out to Orlando. I'm looking around to see where I can place the train terminal. I'm looking for the best area that would best serve these cities up here. I'm focused around Orlando and Carroll because they are the two furthest distance from each other. I think that would be best as far as showing you how to get something like this set up. We're going to start here, I think, next to Rochester and put a train terminal in. For this, I usually use a cargo station, 4 tracks, 320 meters, high speed, and I leave the power lines on because eventually I'd like to get to electric trains. Let's go ahead and put this right about here. I don't want too close to the main track, but I want it far enough away. So I think this will be good for $1.8 million. What you need to do is you need to get some tracks, and you need to pull the tracks out to about there. And then what we'll have is a double track. Now these two tracks will hook up into the main track from the station, and then we'll hook it up to the main. As you can see, I meant to do high speed, I did standard, so let's go ahead and upgrade all that. There we go. Now I'm going to do this exact same thing on the other side. Okay, we need to make an area where the trains can turn around. Alright, what I'm going to do is come out about 180% as a curve and around 230 meters. There we go. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. Now I'm going to connect them up. And there we go. Let's go ahead and flatten this out a little bit. We'll use our terrain tool, max brush, max strength, and we will just go and do one of these numbers. Now there's a couple other things that we need to do for the train station itself. One, we need a road because we need ways for trucks to get in and out. Let's go ahead and grab a road, and we'll place the road right about there. Okay, we need to set up a cargo station so we can drop the goods off. Now, one of the things that I normally will do is I'll bring a road out just like this, and I will put one of those truck unload stops. And this will be better explained here a little bit later. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a truck stop. For train stations, I usually use 2 and 2, so a total of 4 platforms, and it looks like the road's a little too far out. That's okay, we can delete it and try again. Alright, we're going to bring the road out a little bit shorter this time, and now let's see if we can place this down. No, still having a problem. Okay, give me one moment, I'll be right back. Okay, we have placed down the cargo station. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a road depot. We'll need one of these as well. So we'll just set that here. That's fine. And how I find the names for these stations is I just place down one of these and just copy the name. So 9th Street. So this will actually be 9th Street at Rochester Cargo Yard. And there we go. That's all done. And then all I have to do now is just copy and paste, which are, by the way, my 2 favorite features. Okay, it's done. Now all I need to do is hook up the road. Let's come over here and we'll use the curve tool and we'll try to hook this road up. So we'll come across the tracks here, and then we'll just come right on in here. There we go. The road is hooked up. It looks good. I don't think there's anything else I need in order to make this work at this point. So my thought process is I believe I only need 2 train terminals for the distance. One can handle Huntsville, Carroll, and Fairfield, and this one can handle Rochester and Orlando. To make this work, I think that we'll need at least 2 cargo stations, one down south and one up north on this side of the map. So for the cargo stations, I usually go 3 and 3, and I'll set them somewhere like back here. I want them away from the factories a little bit. I don't want them sitting right next to them. And then we'll place the other one way up here. And then, of course, we have to connect it by road. Now, even for your road cargo, you need to have a road that comes out to put a truck unload stop on here, because it's very important, and you'll see what I mean by that here in just a few minutes. So let's go ahead and get a truck unload stop and place it right there. And let me finish setting this up, and I'll be right back. I'm going to be honest, I messed up the name of this. This is actually supposed to be Rochester Yard, not Cargo Yard, because this is actually a cargo yard over here. All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to continue working on this. Okay, as you can see, I have First Street at Fairfield Cargo Yard set up. And then if we head north, I also have this one over here set up, Valley Street at Rochester Cargo Yard. Now it is time to actually start setting up cargo lines and getting stuff shipped out to both of these. So we're going to start down here, and I think the first one will be over here at the Rochester Quarry. And then we'll also get the Rochester Construction. We'll need the silver ore mine, as well as this one here, the Rochester Machines Factory and the Orlando Silver Mill. So those are some of the ones that we'll need to get started with. And I think it would be very important to get the steel mill running, which will take the coal and the iron. All right, I'm going to go and start setting up some lines, and then I will return. So the first line I want to set up, and I'll show you, is this one here. So we're going to go from this, which is actually the Fairfield Silver. And what I normally do in order to help myself out is I change the station names to the actual factory name. This is very beneficial as far as help me keep it straight. And then we're going to connect this actually to the truck drop off. Everything that is not a return gets sent to the drop-off location, and that way it gets placed on the platform. Now for this one, if we take a look, this one is actually, we're bringing product to it, and then we're returning. So for this one, you would actually have to set it up to the cargo yard. So you have to do something like this with it. Otherwise, if you drop this off at the truck stop, you're going to have an issue, because you're not going to be able to pick up the return product. All right, so let me go ahead and set this up, and then I'll be right back. You're probably wondering to yourself, well, if the silver is going to this cargo station, and then you're sending marble to this one, how are you going to connect them? I'm glad you asked. Basically, this is where my whole theory of transfer stations come into play. So basically, I'll set up a line, and this line specifically takes cargo from one cargo hub to another. And then I can use different truck types to ship this cargo back and forth. And that's how I take care of that. Basically, this is just going to be called First Street, and it's going to go over to Valley Street. Now, I don't use the entire name of the line. I only use the street names. I find it easier for myself. I'm not going to set anything else up at this point, because we don't quite have everything set up yet. I need to create a line between the cargo station and the machines factory. So now I have a line that goes from Valley Street over to the machines factory. Now we can actually start working on putting vehicles out on the line. We will start down here to the south to start putting vehicles out. Now, when you first start out, you're going to notice that the factory is not going to produce, and that's perfectly okay. So let's see what type of vehicle we have to use in order to ship silver. We can actually use this vehicle here, which is fine. I'll put a total of 5 of them out for $2.5 million. And this will go out on First Street to Valley... Nope, actually that's not correct. 1 second. One of the things that you can do is just pin this to the right corner. This way when you're sending trucks out, it's less confusing. So this is going to go from Fairfield Silver to First Street. And then those trucks are going to head out. Now we need to head up to the north and set up the rest of it. But before we do that, I forgot one step. Actually, I didn't technically forget it, but what we need to do is we need to make sure that this gets transported to the north. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and grab this Valley Street at Rochester. We're going to pin this, and what I need to do is do the transfer stations. So First Street to Valley Street. Let's go ahead and add a few vehicles to that line. Now, what I'm going to do is go up here, and I want to add a few vehicles to the Orlando Silver in Valley Street. This way, we can actually start making the connection. So we'll get vehicles, and we'll put it out on that one as well. Orlando to Valley Street. There we go. Now, if we come back and we take a look, as soon as the game recognizes that we have made the connection, it should start producing. Okay, as you can see, the silver ore mine is now producing silver. It will ship it here over to the First Street cargo yard, and then trucks will ship it up north to Valley Street cargo yard. And then what I have done is I've set this up. I just want to show you something really fast. Be careful in the order that you set up your lines. So make sure that when you set it up, it goes from the cargo yard to the factory and not reverse it. Otherwise, it won't produce. I decided to go with the semis instead because the level of production that we'll be shipping out of this factory can produce up to 400 of the 600 per year of silver. And that is why I changed out the vehicles. It's because 400 per year is a lot of silver to move to the north. Now it's time to actually come over here and get the iron, the coal, and the steel going, because we need to actually send all 3 products, the iron, the coal, and the steel, all to this First Street cargo yard, and then have our transfer trucks take the goods north. All right, let's work on that now. Okay, the iron and the coal are both going to get dropped off at the drop-off station. They don't need to go into the cargo yard station because there's nothing to return. I know I repeated myself. I apologize about that. I just want to make it clear on how this actually works. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to leave me a comment and I will respond back to it. Anyway, now it's time to get some vehicles out on this line, or actually on both lines. So let's work on that. So since it's actually iron and coal, we can use these. I will get a total of 10 of them, and 5 will go out on each of the lines. I'm going to pull this up and pin it so I know what lines are which. We will select 5 of these vehicles, and the first one will go out on the Fairfield pole to First Street, and the other 5, of course, will go out on Fairfield Iron to First Street. Now what I need to do is I need to set up our transfer run so it can pick up these things as well. So let's go and look at First Street to Valley Street. You can see it's completely overloaded. I think now would be a good time to set some of those cargo buildings down. 1, 2. And I unfortunately can't do it on that side, so I'll just do one of these numbers. 1, 2. And that should be good enough for a while. Absolutely. Okay, right here we have an option. We can either go 50-50 on the coal and iron and have the truck just pick up the 50-50 ratio and drop it off. Or we could set up 2 lines. I think I'm going to go with the 50-50 for now and see how it plays out. If we have to, we can always split them into 2 different lines. So let's go ahead and try that for now. I'm going to set some vehicles out on this road. And now this time, this is going to be a mix setup for this vehicle. So I'm going to get a total of 3 of these that can carry the actual coal and iron, like just one of them. And this way, this line can be set up as a dual line for steel if we want to use it that way, which we probably will. And this will go out on the First Street to Rochester Steel. And now I have the ability, when the time comes, to come in here and be like, hey, pick up some steel and drop some steel off. Take the steel, if I choose to, once it's available, and I could actually run it up to the Valley Street cargo yard and have trucks pick it up and bring it down to the machines factory, which we will do. As you can see, our coal and iron are now actually producing goods. All right, I'm going to give it a few minutes and let the game run, and I'll be right back. As you can see, we have more coal than we have iron. So what I'm going to do is change the ratio on here, so that will hopefully balance out. What I'm going to do here is the First Street cargo yard. I'm going to come in here and say, look, pick up 80% iron and 30% coal. And that should balance that out. Now, when you first start doing this, you will have to go and manage each individual factory for the number of vehicles you want on each line. But once you get it straightened out like this, then it will be all just dealing with the cargo yards, and it's a lot less work. All right, you can see that we have now marble on this platform, which is great. Now what I need to do is make sure that this marble actually gets to its finished destination, which will be the Rochester Machine Factory, which it kind of looks like it is already going over there. So that's good. So I'll leave that alone, but we do need to actually get steel in order to make machines. Let me show you how you finish hooking up this train station. I kind of got distracted. I apologize about that. So basically, I'm going to run another track around so we have a double track, and then we'll hook it up to the main line. Now, one of the things I recommend is to put a cross track in here and make sure to have enough singles so you don't have an issue with this. So we'll put a cross track there, and then we'll place 2 singles. 1, 2, go in the same direction because this is the exit track. Now let's try to hook up to the main. Now, one of the things is I'm going to have to get rid of the singles down here. I'll put them back in a little bit. So basically, trains need to come in from both directions. Let me go ahead and work on it. Now, here's the most tricky part of the whole setup. As you can see, I have trains have the ability to come in from Orlando, but it also has the ability to come down from Huntsville as well and come into this station. Now, before I forget, I'm going to put a few lights in here, and this is just going to be the same direction, just like that. Now, the biggest issue I run into is trying to do the exit tracks. So let's work on that. The design of the station is complete. As you can see, trains can come in, trains can exit and go out both ways now. And the only thing I need to do is put a train depot in here. So let's get one of those, and we'll place it right there. The train's going to have to go all the way around to get back into the station, but that's perfectly fine by me. I'm not worried about that. We can actually set it for trains to come to the station. We can set it for trucks to come to the station. I've set up the steel mill to now start producing steel to bring back to our First Street station. Let me show you. I add a few regular semis in the mix. Then I came in here and I'm like, you know what? Can you pick up some steel from the Rochester Steel and drop it off at First Street? Now, of course, this is not going to produce because obviously it's not going to its end point. So what we're going to have to do is come over to Valley Street. And I was looking at this line and thinking to myself, can I do this without creating a second line? And I think it is very possible. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to buy a couple of these trucks, 2 of them for now. I'm going to put them out on the First Street to Valley Street run. And then we're going to go manage the line. We're going to say full load both ways if possible, if we have anything coming back. And what I want to do is tell it to pick up steel from First Street and drop it off at Valley Street. Let's head up north and let's take a look at this connection. I don't think I have it completely set up yet. I do not. So at this point right now, this truck is taking marble over to the Rochester machines. What I want to do is I want to put some trucks that are just for steel, which are these flatbeds. And I want to get 2 of those out on that same line, Valley Street to Rochester machines. I want to manage vehicle and I want to actually increase the number of vehicle to 2 on that as well. Now our vehicles should actually start picking up steel and taking it to the machines factory. So down here, I'm going to put another train station, another train terminal, just like up here. I'm going to place it right here. My thought process behind that is because I want to start shipping machines down here to Carroll, but I also want to ship steel down here to the Huntsville Tools factory so I can actually start getting tools for Carroll and shipping it back up to Carroll as well with the machines. Also, Orlando wants machines as well. Orlando wants food. The good thing is, as you can see down here, just outside of Durham, I have another station which I can hook up and bring food all the way back up here to the Rochester yard and then ship it into Orlando from this station if I want to. And that is the plan. In the meantime, I'm going to be honest with you, I made a few mistakes. So if you run into a problem with this, leave it down in the comments. If you're in a situation where one of these factories are not producing, just double check how you have it set up. For example, when I did the Valley Street to Rochester machines, I made a mistake. When I selected it, I had it backwards, and that is why the steel was not actually being produced. Just some things to look out for. You can see that I have put down some truck unload stops in Orlando. I also did it over here in Carroll as well, because now I want to start trying to get things shipped like machines and tools to Carroll. I believe Orlando wants machines and food. Now the machines we're good on. The food I'm going to have to ship from Durham area. So I'm going to create some new lines. I already created a few train lines, as you can see, so we can start shipping some cargo around. What I need to do is work on getting the trains on the track and start shipping the machines over here to the 9th Street at Rochester. So let me work on that. So I have set up a line from Valley Street to 9th Street, which is this Rochester yard. Basically, I'm shipping steel and I'm shipping machines down here, just as it's listed here. And we need to get a couple of vehicles on that line. So let's do that right now. So I'm going to go with 2 of those. And then we're going to also buy 2 of the flat beds for the steel. Then we're going to place them out on, so it's the Valley Street to 9th Street. We'll set those 2 vehicles out on the line. Now what we need to do is get ourselves a train. So let's go ahead and see what we got available. Currently, I've been using the BRV 100, and I think I'll continue with that. We'll get 3 box cars, 3 flat cars, and I think that will be good for this particular train. Let's go and put it on Lee Street to 9th Street. We have a train coming out of the terminal, and this train will be heading down towards Huntsville. Now let's head down towards Huntsville and set up that terminal as well, because we have another cargo hub right here, 4th Street Cargo Yard, and I need to set up to make sure the lines get into Carroll. We have Lee Street to 4th Street, and this one I want to pick up machines, and I think I also wanted to pick up metal, or not metal, but steel. Since we have the train running back and forth, now it's important that we get this set up and get vehicles out on all these lines. The 4th Street to 2nd and 8th Street basically goes into Carroll and drops those goods off. The 4th Street to Huntsville Tool takes the steel and brings tools back to this cargo hub. and then the Lee Street pretty much picks up the stuff from the train station and brings it over to the yard. And that's how it's pretty much set up. So let's go ahead and pin this so I can keep track of what I'm doing. And basically, the first one, we will just go with this vehicle. I'm only going to place one of them at this time because of the costs. I shouldn't be really worried about it. I have $5.2 billion in the game. And the sandbox mode is on right now. I forgot to turn it off. And let's see here. Sorry, I got distracted. So 4th Street to 2nd Street for machines. Okay. And then we'll buy another one. And this one will take the tools out to Carroll as well. So 4th Street to 8th Street. And then as far as this is concerned, it needs 2 different types of vehicles because it's picking up steel and picking up tools. So we'll get 2 of these, and then we'll also buy 2 of these. Now 4 of those can go out on 4th Street to Huntsville Tools. Last but not least is I need to figure out exactly what we're shipping down here. So steel and machines, and that's pretty much what we're doing from Lee Street Station, which is the train yard, back up here to the cargo yard. Let's go ahead and get a couple of vehicles so that works for that. We'll set that out on Lee Street to 4th Street. There we go. All right. Perfect. I have a train line that runs from Maple Street to Lee Street, and this line will just pick up some food and bring it out here. It can also actually bring tools as well. So let's get that set up. So let's see. And this is the reason why I had the sandbox mode on. Is because I don't understand why the game wants to place industrial or place factories in the middle of my train yard. I don't get it. Anyway, but that's not important at this point. Let's go ahead and fix this line. And basically what we're going to do here, we are going to pick up food and tools from this yard, and basically we're going to drop it off. Now goods is going to be a big problem for us when we have to start getting goods to Fairfield, but we'll cover that in the next episode, by the way. And let's see if I can get a train on this track. So we'll come back up here. We'll get another train terminal over here. So let's do that. We'll get another train depot, and we'll just set it out on this track here. All right, let's see. There we go. And let's go ahead and get a train. So this train should be pretty simple. We're going to use the same one, BRV 100. And this one is going to have box cars only. There's no point in having any flat cars or anything else. There's no reason to have any other cars because all it's going to do is pick up tools and food. So we'll set this to Maple to Lee Street. And here comes our other train to go pick up food and whatever else, the tools. I put the double switch in. As you can see, now he's good to move to the next track. And he will head out and get those for us. That is awesome. Now I have to configure the Lee Street to 9th Street train because we have to pick up the food in order to get out to Orlando. So from the Lee Street station, oh no, I do this sometimes. 1 second. All right, let me go fix this and I'll be right back. Now this will pick up food, hopefully, and we'll take it up here to the cargo hub up here to drop it off in Orlando. I just want to make sure that I have everything set up correctly. I do need to get a couple vehicles out on that line, so maybe we should work on that right now. So let's go and get ourselves... Now really I don't want to use the semis for this. I think we'll use this and we'll just put one out on each line. So let me find out what the line is called. Valley Street to Jefferson, and then Valley to Pine. We'll get a couple vehicles out on those lines. So first one will be Valley Street to Jefferson Street. So that's all the way at the bottom here. And my second vehicle will go out on, what was it? Oh, to Pine Street for the machines. As you can see, Carroll is getting what they want as far as machines and tools. The only challenge I have right now currently, as you can see, is down here at Chattanooga. I can't seem to get food to be placed on this platform to ship up here to the north. but I'm going to have to work on that on the next episode. You see that we have machines in steel, we have tools being developed. Everything is working just fine, even up here in Orlando. Orlando is getting machines. I just can't figure out what the issue with the food is. If you have any suggestions, please leave it in the comments below. It would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to leave it there for today, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you have any other suggestions, please leave them down below in the comment section. And until then, I will talk to you there. Hope to see you in the next episode. And until then, goodbye.